As you sit here, you can either drift off into thinking, or you can be really here, which is to be present with your attention fully in the here and now, without the need to think about the here and now in conceptual terms, let alone the need to think about your past or your future as you sit here. What is the point? So you can find out, have a look inside yourself and see whether you're drifting into thought, which is usually to do with past and future, or it could have something to do with what the mind is saying about this moment. Now, you would have thought there isn't much it can say about this moment, but you would be surprised it can. And if it says something about this moment, it's more likely to be something critical or complaining than how wonderful it is. To know how wonderful it is, you have to go deeper into the presence, because the wonderful is not me, the wonderful is in you. If you can sense the aliveness within you, that's wonderful. So you have a choice at any moment, and this moment, to be carried, to let yourself be carried away by mind activity, thoughts, or be alert and present. This is we're touching already here the secret of life. I'll give it to you now in case you have to hurry off soon. The secret of life, one could say there are, by the way, anything I say is provisional. It's not about the ultimate philosophical explanations of the universe, but about an inner transformation of consciousness. So the words are pointing to this, the shift in consciousness. And as pointers they can be helpful, but as ultimate explanations of the universe they are mistakes. So knowing that, I can carry on. There are two dimensions to you, to who you are. One you're very familiar with, that's called the person, me, you as the personal entity with a past and a future, your personal history and so on, including the physical body. So there's the physical body and there's the psychological entity, the me, with a name and a past and its problems and so on. Its life situation. Usually that is the limit to what people's perception of themselves, that is the limit to what they see, that's who I am. Not realizing that there is also a deeper dimension in them, which we could call, again it's a pointer, the light of consciousness. So at any moment you are both the person, but you are also the light of consciousness that has nothing to do with you, the person, or your personal history. And when the light of consciousness predominates at any moment over the personal sense of self, we call that being present. There is a presence which you cannot touch or see. You cannot make it into an object of consciousness that says, there's the presence that I am. There it is. No, you can't do that, because the presence is the eternal subject. It cannot become an object to your consciousness, but you can. This is why you have a relationship with yourself. The person, the personal sense of self, you become an object to yourself, to consciousness. So you love yourself, you hate yourself, you have doubts about yourself, and you have lots of stories about yourself. So you've become an object to yourself, and that's the egoic self, the personalized sense of self. We can't escape that completely, but to know only that, to know yourself as only that, is a dreadful limitation. Then you are just that very limited person. So in any situation, if you can sense the presence that is deeper than the person in you, and right, the situation is now, this moment, it's always now. You can't do this later. It's now. That's right, there's the signal, be present. So how does that look in daily life? When you are interacting, when you are in situations, dealing with other people, having to do this or that. Let's take a simple situation. You're meeting someone in the elevator, and you're exchanging a few words. Of course, there's one person, that's you, meeting another person there. You may know that person, lives in your building or works in the office, or you may not know that person. Perhaps you exchange a few words about the weather or whatever. Perhaps the mind has some judgments about that person, perhaps. Are you there exclusively as that person, or at that, during that seemingly insignificant encounter, can you also sense the presence that you are beyond anything that you say, or can you sense the presence, your own presence, so to speak, as the light of consciousness, as you're looking at that other human being? You say a few words, but can you be that as well as still operate as the person? You can't let go completely of that. You continue to have a physical body and a certain psychological makeup. But in any situation, and especially this one here, this is a kind of trial, an easy protected setting where we can practice being both the person, of course you are, but at the same time, and here perhaps more strongly, feeling, sensing that you are consciousness, not as an object, but as the subject, the I. Feeling the deeper, sensing the deeper I as consciousness itself. And that is joyful to know yourself as consciousness is in you sense an intense aliveness there.